In the glitzy world of 1940s Hollywood, Eleanor Ellie Martine was the name on everyone's lips. With her raven black hair, porcelain skin, and eyes that sparkled with mischief, she commanded every room she entered and dominated the silver screen. After finishing the production of her latest film, Desire in the Dark, Ellie bought a mansion on the outskirts of Hollywood, said to be designed by an eccentric artist who was obsessed with the occult. Soon after, whispers began to circulate in the Tinseltown elite. Ellie wasn't her vivacious self anymore. At parties, her radiant energy was replaced with a vacant stare, and she would often break into unsettling fits of laughter. Worried about their golden goose, the studio executives consulted the top doctors in Los Angeles. None could diagnose her ailment. As Ellie's behavior grew more erratic, one of the screenwriters, David Callahan, recalled stories from his Irish grandmother about people who'd been touched by the darkness. Desperate, the studio discreetly hired Father O'Malley, an exorcist known for his work in Europe, but new to Hollywood. When he first laid eyes on Ellie, he knew this was no ordinary possession. The spirit was ancient, predating Hollywood by millennia. But why it had attached itself to Ellie was a mystery. In a secret ceremony, with only David and a few studio heads present, Father O'Malley began the exorcism. Ellie, restrained on her ornate bed, writhed and contorted, her voice oscillating between her own and a deep, growling tone. The entity inside her boasted about its age and power, how it had whispered inspirations to artists only to drive them mad afterward. It had been drawn to Ellie, not for her fame, but for the pure passion she had for her craft, which the entity wanted to corrupt. The battle between Father O'Malley and the entity raged for hours, with the room shaking and objects flying. In the climax, David, recalling his grandmother's tales, began singing an old Celtic lullaby. As he sang, a calmness enveloped Ellie, and Father O'Malley seized the moment, using all his might to expel the entity. Exhausted and drenched in sweat, they all looked at Ellie, who slowly opened her eyes. The sparkle was back. The studio, fearing bad press, covered up the incident, attributing Ellie's hiatus to exhaustion. Ellie went on to star in many more blockbusters, always with David by her side, but she never spoke of the exorcism, and the mansion was sold quietly. Years later, after Ellie's passing, a young actress bought the mansion, eager to be close to the remnants of old Hollywood. On her first night, as she lay in bed, she heard a soft whisper, "Welcome home, my muse." Our next story takes us to the Knickerbocker Hotel, where old Hollywood's ghosts refuse to check out. The Knickerbocker Hotel, once a beacon of glamour and luxury, has a history as rich as the tapestry of films Hollywood has produced. Over the years, its grand rooms and lush bars have witnessed countless deals, romances, and heartbreaks, but beneath its polished veneer lies a myriad of tales that blur the line between the living and the dead. One of the most enduring stories associated with the Knickerbocker is that of the legendary silent film star Rudolph Valentino. Valentino, known as the Latin lover of his era, tragically died at the young age of 31. It's said he had a favorite booth at the hotel's bar where he'd often be seen dancing and enjoying the night. Even in death, he purportedly hasn't abandoned his favored spot. Guests and staff have reported seeing a man in period attire, believed to be Valentino, near his booth or hearing the distant echo of a tango, his favorite dance. Marilyn Monroe, one of the most iconic figures of the 20th century, also had ties to the Knickerbocker. It's said she and Joe DiMaggio often met secretly at the hotel's bar. The ladies' restroom in particular is a hotspot for paranormal activity. Numerous accounts speak of women catching a glimpse of Marilyn's reflection in the mirror, her image appearing suddenly, then vanishing just as quickly. Beyond Valentino and Monroe, the hotel is said to be haunted by multiple other spirits. Actor William Frawley, famous for his role as Fred Mertz in I Love Lucy, is believed to haunt the premises. He lived in the hotel for decades and passed away nearby. Staff and guests have reported hearing phantom laughter, footsteps, and even disembodied conversations in various parts of the hotel. The Knickerbocker Hotel's paranormal tales are a testament to Hollywood's eternal allure. For some stars, it seems, the final curtain call still awaits. For our next story, we look into the world of dark magic. In the dawning era of silent entertainment, before the glitz of Hollywood's golden age, an ambitious young woman named Lila Wren emerged from the shadows of obscurity. It was the 1890s, and while moving pictures were still in their infancy, the world of stage and silent theatre was alive with possibility. For many, fame was a distant dream, but for Lila, it was an obsession. Having grown up in a small town in Virginia, Lila had always been drawn to the esoteric. Her grandmother, a woman of Romani descent, often whispered tales of the old country, of spells, hexes, and the potent power of black magic. As a child, Lila would watch, wide-eyed, as her grandmother drew symbols in the air, chanting incantations that made the wind howl and the candles flicker. While many dismissed these as mere tales and tricks, Lila believed, and as her hunger for fame grew, so did her interest in the arcane. In her early 20s, desperate to leave her mark on the world of silent theatre, Lila turned to her grandmother's ancient book of spells. Hidden within its pages was a ritual said to grant unimaginable fame and allure to its practitioner. But the cost was high. The spell required a heart, not of a human, but of a raven, a bird revered and feared in Romani lore. Determined, Lila performed the ritual. In the days that followed, her life transformed. She went from being a nobody to the talk of every town. Her performances were magnetic, almost hypnotic. Audiences were inexplicably drawn to her, filling theaters wherever she went. Lila Wren became the first silent star of her era, but fame, especially one born from dark magic, comes at a price. As the years went by, Lila began to change. Those around her noticed her talking to shadows, her once radiant eyes now always darting, as if following unseen entities. Ravens, too, seemed to haunt her every step, their cawing a constant, eerie background to her life. One fateful night, after a particularly riveting performance, Lila disappeared. Her dressing room, when opened, revealed only an empty space with a single raven feather lying in the center. Some say she was taken by the very forces she'd summoned, forever to be their prisoner. Others believe she fled, hoping to escape the relentless pursuit of the ravens. The theaters she once graced now echo with legends of her haunting beauty and tragic fate. Some performers even claim to see a silhouette of a woman on quiet nights, dancing in the shadows, forever trapped between her ambition and the dark magic she wielded. In the end, Lila Wren's tale serves as a somber reminder of the costs of unbridled ambition and the dangerous allure of shortcuts to stardom. Before we move on to our next story, be sure to give us a like and subscribe for more videos like these. Now, on to our next story, which takes us to the Pantages Theatre. An Art Deco masterpiece, the Pantages Theatre has witnessed the rise and fall of many stars. It was Howard Hughes's brainchild, the eccentric billionaire and film mogul who once owned the theatre and used an office on its premises. Hughes, known for both his innovations in aviation and his eccentricities, was a dominant figure in the golden age of Hollywood. While his business ventures left their mark on the world, it was the mysteries of his personal life that would leave an indelible impression on the Pantages. Staff began to speak of strange occurrences after Hughes's death. Lights would dim or suddenly go out, even when electrical checks showed no issues. Whispers, seemingly coming from nowhere, echoed through the hallways. But it was in the dead of night, when the theatre was empty, that the most chilling accounts emerged. Security guards reported seeing a man, donning 1940s attire, wandering the aisles. He'd be surveying the theatre as if ensuring everything was in order. When approached, this shadowy figure would vanish, leaving behind only the faint aroma of a cologne, popular in Hughes's time. Doors to Hughes's old office would spontaneously open and shut, and sometimes, late at night, typewriter keys would clatter on their own, as if an unseen hand was chronicling tales from the ether. Visitors, unaware of the theatre's ghostly lore, would sometimes comment on the man in the balcony who seemed deeply engrossed in the performances, yet wasn't there when lights came back on. Many believe this spectral patron to be Hughes himself, still overseeing his beloved theatre from the shadows. The Pantages Theatre, with its ornate interiors and grandeur, remains a beloved venue for performances. Yet, when the applause dies down and the spotlight dims, the theatre becomes a stage for its most enigmatic performer. Howard Hughes, in spirit, continues his eternal vigil, ensuring that the show indeed always goes on. From the Pantages Theatre, we make our way to the famed Comedy Store on Sunset Strip, where laughter reigns supreme and comedians bare their souls. It's a venue that has seen more than its share of both dreams and nightmares. As the night deepens and laughter fades, the Comedy Store becomes a playground for phantoms from its dark past. Before the spotlights shone and audiences roared with laughter, the building that houses the Comedy Store was once Ciro's, a glamorous nightclub that catered to Hollywood's elite. But behind its glitzy facade, Ciro's harbored a sinister secret. It was a mob hangout, a place where deals were made in shadows and enemies met untimely ends. The spirits from this era, it seems, have never left. Performers, fresh off the high of their sets, have reported eerie occurrences. Cold spots in dressing rooms that should be warm, shadows darting across walls with no discernible source, and the haunting sound of muted, ghostly laughter coming from empty sections of the audience. Some have even claimed to feel an unseen hand tugging at their clothes or a sudden gust of wind on a still night. But it's the basement of the Comedy Store that holds the most sinister tales. Once the setting for mob activities, perhaps even murders, it's now a hotspot of paranormal activity. Employees who ventured down have spoken of an oppressive, heavy atmosphere, as if the very air is thick with the memories of dark deeds. Disembodied voices whisper from the corners, and on occasion, spectral figures can be seen, their forms fading as quickly as they appear. Some comedians joke about playing for the ghosts, but there are those who believe that their most discerning audience members are not of this world. There's a saying among the regulars, if you can make the ghosts laugh, you're truly destined for greatness.